Okay, welcome everybody to another week of the Jobsticker's Jobseeker Resource Group, LinkedIn Live version. As you know, every Wednesday at 2 p.m. I'll be here, and as well as every Tuesday at 2 p.m. on the Facebook Live at our Facebook group. So check out jobstickers.com if you need any further information. But today, what I want to do, I actually want to do a resume critique in real time. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of just give you some initial thoughts as to how I would look at it if I was a recruiter, or in my case, a resume writer, someone that has that innate ability to conduct a 6-second eye test, 7-second eye test, be able to kind of look at a resume and immediately know if I want to continue vetting this person or just maybe stockpiling for later at maybe a different type of role. So I thank you again for joining, and I will be sharing my screen right now. And here is the resume I'm going to use. So essentially, and I'm just going to dive right in. Essentially, so I had doctored up a little bit just to kind of, for the sake of showing some errors. But so first off here, you're not going to want to have this line break. You don't need line breaks. You can just have a clean name, and then underneath here, you can just put city, state, phone, email, LinkedIn URL, and then maybe a portfolio URL. This stuff, well, first off, also, this person did not spell Wilmington correctly, so always watch your spelling, but you don't need this kind of stuff over here, and this will eventually fall in the line if you were to kind of edit out all this kind of, additional formatting errors. But so essentially, yeah, you want to just kind of make it where it's one line underneath your name. I mean, kind of really clean. Again, get rid of the break. And then this person here is decided not to have a summary. Always want to have a summary here. And this is going to be about a 3-sentence statement of, who you are and what value you offer. What's your USP, your unique selling proposition? This right here, and you got to keep it professional. Remember, no personal pronouns or anything like that. So keep it professional, succinct, to the point, so the reader can understand what type of person you are in terms of your, role in industry, and what are you going to do for them? What is going to make them want to open up their checkbook every couple of weeks to pay you to do something? And then next, you're going to want to have some skills. And these are hard skills, right? These are technical skills. These are methodologies. Okay, methodologies. And these are going to be ones that will resonate with the reader. Stuff, again, that relates to the world that you want to work in, and the space and the role, but also ATS compliance here. These are those words you can find on the job descriptions that will comply with the ATS, that applicant tracking system. And as you heard in previous shows, all that is a software to house resumes for you to get found later, and a way for companies to vet people without even reaching a human. They can kind of use these ATS software to kind of see if this person's worth bringing forth in the hiring process, and actually get to human eyeballs like an HR admin or recruiter. So this is going to be something you want to either look on a job description, or you can find it at the LinkedIn endorsements section. And you can have, XYZ. You can have it where, oh my goodness, sorry. You can have it where this takes up to the end here, all the way over to here. So essentially, you can kind of just have a nice little structure here where it's clean, linear. Also be able to squeeze, maybe 10 skills. So that's going to be kind of that area that you want to work on to make sure that you're adhering to that job description. Again, major part of that. Next, you're going to have accomplishment section, and these are going to be your top 5 to maybe 7 real nice achievements. They can either be relatable to the opening, have a metric or a KPI, bottom line impact, or a really neat story, really neat and unique that makes you you, and you can bullet that, and you have, again, 5 of these. So that kind of thing. Okay, and then after the accomplishments section, employment section. So first off, see how this has a lot of white space right here. You don't want to have that much white space. You need to use up as much of the white space for your advantage as possible. So get it clean, make sure also your margins are lined up. Like this one, playing a little bit on the fly here, but get the idea here. You want it all separated by same kind of margin spaces and stuff. And for this type of role, or for this type of section, I would also keep this one line with this main goods, if you will, your descriptor, which is going to be title, company, location, dates. I lose months. You don't need to have months. If the recruiter wants months, you can get that for them later, but for now, drop months. And then never use the word responsible when you're starting off a line here. Responsible for developing, maintaining productive long-term relationships with supply chain management companies, client base. Okay, it's not bad, but I guess what's the action and what's the result here? Okay, so let's say in this case, you could say if you're maintaining long-term relationships with the supply chain client base, you're probably driving revenue. So we can say something like drove revenue gains by 50% in 2 years by developing. You don't even have to have the first by here. There's a little technique there. Drove revenue gains 50% in 2 years by developing and maintaining productive long-term relationships with supply chain management companies, client base. And the supply chain management company part, if that's internal, you don't need to say that. With client base or we'll say something like this, with a 200 member client base. And I don't like saying developing and maintaining. I like to say cultivating and retaining. So there's your first line, and it's got to be bulleted, like our bullet points, nice and clean. Don't need this little gap here. Again, I know it's on the fly here. I apologize. Let me clean that up so you don't have that. Cool. Okay. So, and then you have your next line. And again, you just kind of action, result. Oh my goodness, I love Word. How is it still our main use of writing anything? So there you go. And so you would just, essentially, and this is a lot of tasks. This is just a ton of tasks. You look at attended customer meetings, tracked orders, created shipping notices. These are all tasks. Get rid of this and put down, again, relatable, metric or KPI, or really neat story. Keep this idea right here for all these. Okay, I'm going to get rid of all these. Now, and before I do get rid of them, let me just show you this. We're down to 4 pages already. So this person initially had 3 pages. No, 2 pages at most, unless you are someone that maybe is a high-level IT person where you can mandate a 3rd page, because again, there's certain circumstances, maybe an academia member who requires a CV that needs to list publications and presentations or whatnot, or a federal resume from usajobs.gov. I have a format for that can run a little longer than the 2 pages. But outside of that, let us get it down to 2 pages. So next here, we will. And we're just going to cut through the rest of the experience here. Again, also look at, red writing over here. You don't want different font sizes and colors and that kind of stuff. The only time you have different font sizes is if you had a header, and I don't even write the word summary in my headers, but if you wanted to, it's not a deal breaker. But you can have like that size, 14 and have this 11 or 10 or whatever. 10, 11, 12, that's always a safe bet. Headers can be about 14, 12 to 14, that's fine. But that's it. You do not want to mess around with font sizes and fonts themselves. Keep it all a same font. And we'll just make it Calabria. I like Calabria a lot. And so finally, education training. So again, make this in the middle. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. This thing is, get out of here. Okay, so education training, put this right in the middle. right? Make sure it lines up with the rest of these. All 14. And I'm fine with this title, education and training. I've used that before. That's fine. And this one is not bad already because it is one line each. So that's cool. But I like to put in, what did you get first? You know, what was the outcome of all your hard work? The BS, behavioral sciences. I'm not nitpicky with the BS. I understand everything should be grammatically clean. But if you're worried about it, you can even just write Bachelor of Science. That's fine too. Minor in journalism. I drop the ins because my technique is no prepositional phrases. So I'm going to say journalism minor. University of Maryland, and no date because you are not someone who's out of school in the last 2 to 3 years. So once you're out of the school for about 3 years, you can drop the date. And then I bold the accomplishment itself. In this case, Ritz-Carlton training, this is good too. So customer service training would go in front. Ritz-Carlton on the back end. Hosiery Technology Center of North Carolina, hosiery. So I would say something like hosiery training, right? Or hosiery coursework, depending on what you got, or hosiery certification. And that's that. And that is essentially the resume. I mean, and also what I like to do sometimes, if you want education, training, and affiliation, you know, member, U.S. hosiery people. There you go. Now you got that. Also, if you wanted to, and volunteerism. Volunteer. United Way. Right? And there we go. So that could be the section where you're kind of getting everything in there that makes you of your well-roundedness. And that's it essentially. This is how I build a resume. This format's not the format I use. This is most fundamental format, but I'm just showing you. I would take this and put it in my format. And if you need to know what that looks like, just ping me. But yeah, I mean, again, if you guys have any questions, I'm going to post this on to the YouTube channel. And so you can revisit it again. But this is kind of essentially how I would set it up. And this will give you a little bit more packed for your punch, if you will, when you're trying to apply for some roles. You definitely want to make sure you're standing out and doing some of these little techniques that we do as resume writers, because the competition's thick. We all know that. And you got to play the game, so to speak. So that is it. I'm not sure if I can unshare. Do I stop share? There we go. There, I'm back. And thank you for joining, Tanisha.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Just me and you today.
Yes, I guess so. I have a quick question. Well, actually, two.
Please, yes.
Okay. Well, actually, it's a ask. Thank you for a clarification on the summary, because I've heard both ways that you don't need one and then you need one. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Number two, I was on a job site recently, and my resume, which you have been helping me with, so thank you. I have been tinkering with it, and I've got it down to a page and a half. Well, almost a page and a half. And the website said that it was too big. It was too large. So if we're looking at what you just put on the screen, if I needed to shrink that, what would your suggestion be?
Great question. So there is one technique I have. Let's say that you're just kind of you're just barely at the cutoff. You can, let's resize this. Let's just say for 10 for the fact of just for being on the fly here. So
Okay.
let me share this again so you can see the share screen. I got to get better at the share screen. There we go. Okay. So let's say I'm going to resize these to like 10. And it looks squishy right here, and you're like, uh-oh, but that's okay. We're going to get it down. So let's see 10. Then when you go to view for your actual settings on your of how big it should be, don't be afraid to zoom in a little bit. So then it has the little bit of, it's got the font's shorter, so it's squishing things more up closer to that page one, but also then the zoom doesn't take away from the reader when they're looking at it. The key here though is after you hit the zoom button, you must do some sort of edit and then hit save, or else the zoom will not save. So you can't just zoom and exit out with it, zoom and save and exit out. You got to zoom, do an edit, just a simple space, backspace kind of thing, and then save it. And that zoom will keep intact. That's one little nuance I've done. Again, that's a last resort though. I think if anything, just tap me to see if we can edit out some of the stuff to get it down to a single page.
Okay.
Not all ATSs are going to mandate that. Again, I'm not sure what site. We don't need to expose it or anything, but I very rarely see 2 pages being kicked out of any ATS, just because, again, we're in the age of scrolling where people don't need to print these things anymore. So for them to say, hey, it's too big. Now, it might also be the file size, not so much the page length. And in that case, we might just have to get creative with how we save it as WordX or DocX or Doc, or, play that little game a little bit. But I'd have to go offline with you to figure out truly what would be causing that, because that concerns me that, a page and a half's getting kicked. Like, that should not.
Yeah, it may, I mean, I'll check it, because it may very well be the file size.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've ever entered that. I've never had to, because I've always been cognizant of that, because I've heard of it in the past that the longer the resume is just not good for you.
Right.
So I've always tried to keep it as within a certain size or amount or page wise. But I'll go back and look, and I'll let you know if it's the file size, because I obviously didn't think about that.
Yeah, and let me know either avenue, even if you want to meet again to tweak it a little bit to get it down to that, second page. We can figure something like that out. But, again, or excuse me, first page. But again, look into their specific requirements on that website to see if there's anything about megabytes, the actual file size, or it might say, hey, we want single page resumes only, and that's just the way they want to hire. And I'll tell you, and you heard me say this before in previous calls, every applicant tracking system, different rules, different companies, and there's a different volume of rules. There could be 100 at one company and 10 at the other. So, that's why I always preach the pragmatic resume. You want to make sure you're being as clean, concise, and not ruffling feathers. And that includes those robots up front. You don't want to confuse them, because you might not get the human eyeballs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was good to go over that, for you to go over that. So, okay, I'll let you know.
Yeah, keep me posted, and I'm sure, hopefully I see you next week. I love having you join me, keep me going.
I enjoyed it. I really enjoy getting the little tidbits and things that I didn't know before.
Oh, thank you for that. And actually, I just thought of this. So next week, if anybody's wanting to tune in next week, I'm actually going to be off next Wednesday, because I'm doing for the NCMA Tyson's chapter impact forum / virtual fair guest resume review. Okay,
wow. That's a mouthful.
Yeah, so I think it's actually military transition assistance, but I could be wrong. I was trying to research it a little bit, and they had a couple different things going, so I couldn't really figure it out. But anyway, so I got tapped to do free resume reviews next Wednesday for a couple hours for some folks. So you won't see me next Wednesday, but I will be back the following Wednesday, and then of course every Tuesday at 2 p.m. on Facebook. So and thank you again for joining, Tanisha. And anybody who didn't catch this in complete, please just check out my YouTube, MJW Careers, and I'll just keep on sending information out there. So hopefully, it can help some people get some work. And thank you guys for joining. And have a good week. Be a blessed week, and try to enjoy the weather wherever you're at. Hopefully, it's spring everywhere. I know it's starting to kind of itch its way here, so. I'm gonna go enjoy some weather this afternoon, but I thank you guys, and I will see you guys, and goodbye to you, Tanisha. I'll be offline if you need to tap me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.